Hey there guys, Erica here from Highway 49 RC. If you want to support the making of videos just like this one, consider becoming a channel member or joining my Patreon. Links are down in the description down below. Hey guys, welcome back. This is my first filming since after the holidays, so I hope you had a great one. Today we are going to try the generally assumed impossible. I'm going to try and weld cast iron. Yes. Why? Because I need to fix something on the milling machine here. Hang on a minute though. You guys might be confused. Why? Since when is this broken? Well, I of course use the machine off camera for things here and there, and last time I was using it, I ran into a slight issue. I asked you guys if you guys wanted to see a repair video, and the response was overwhelmingly yes, so here you guys go. I already know what's wrong with this. I already tore it all down, took it apart, figured it out, but I put it back together just so I could show you guys my troubleshooting process and how I figured out what was really wrong with it. So let's dive in. So one day, I, for the life of me, could not get my tool out of the spindle here. And the way that the tool is held in is with a thing called a drawbar. The drawbar is basically a shaft with threads on one end down here for the tool holder and a spline on the other. Now, the power drawbar is basically a little impact wrench that sits up on top of the head up there. And what that does is it gets pushed down into the spline of the drawbar with a little air piston, so it just kind of goes thunk and then bloop. This thing here is the power drawbar. As you can see, it moves up and down, and that's what, like I said, engages and disengages the drawbar. But what I was having a problem was the quill, the silver part here, was not coming up far enough for the power drawbar to come down and engage with it. A lot of times what happens is I will forget that I have the quill lock on, and like I'll have my quill all the way up and I'll have it locked for whatever reason just because I brought it down, touch off a tool, and I'll forget that it's locked and whatever, easy peasy, unlock it, bring it up, put the lock back, and again, away we go. But as you can see, there's still a little bit of the quill sticking out here. So why that was, I had really no idea. I had read online that sometimes there is a set screw on the back of the quill, but alas, actually, oh my, oh, jeez. I guess maybe there is, but it's not sticking out, so sometimes that set screw can back out and get stuck on the back of the head here. The only thing that I really could think of is the quill skirts. Now the quill skirts I have had a slight problem with in the past, having them hang up the quill, but that was the only thing I could think of. You might be asking, of course, what are quill skirts? Well, let's take a look. So I want you guys to be looking right in this slot here as I bring the quill down. Okay, come on, the one time I need it to not work, it works. God damn it. You see that little arch right there? Watch that. That is a quill skirt. So as I bring the quill down, you see how it opens up that gap above it? It's basically to keep any dirt and crap out of the spindle bearings, which are inside of there. Now there is a second one that was supposed to come down with it, so that came down when I didn't want it to. At this point, my reasonable conclusion is that there's something wrong with the quill skirts. And unfortunately, the only way to get to the quill skirts is to take this entire upper drivetrain unit off, so that's exactly what I did. At this very point in the disassembly process that this unidentifiable hunk of grease-covered metal decided to introduce itself very kindly. I had no idea where it came from, but I knew that it was a very bad sign. Alright, so this is looking down into the top of the head. Those down there are my spindle bearings, and this white bit is the upper quill skirt. That tiny white line, yeah, you can see it right there, is the lower quill skirt. So now if I lower the quill, right now it's working as intended. it's covering up the hole in the front of the head. But sometimes what happens is that it gets stuck up way too high. So since I was figuring that there was something wrong with the quill skirt that maybe I couldn't see, the next obvious plan of action was to take off the worm gear cradle here. The worm gear cradle, essentially, when this lever is actuated, engages this spur gear with the worm gear on the upper drivetrain unit as you saw previously. That then goes and drives a whole nother drivetrain of components for the auto downfeed. The obvious conclusion after looking at it to get the worm gear cradle out is, oh, this Allen head bolt needs to be removed and I can just pop the bevel gear out. Alas, that was not the case. There's a key down in there and I could not slide the bevel gear up to get it away from this one, nor could I lift the whole cradle out. So after doing a little bit of research, I figured out that I need to take off the auto downfeed speed selector here. And behind it is a sliding set of gears that engages and disengages the 3 different other gears that change the speed of the auto downfeed. I have to find that later. So this is the sliding bit right here. And as you can see, when I go to actuate the selector, it moves it up and down and changes the gear ratio for the auto downfeed. So in here is the selector set of gears, so I can select 1 gear ratio there, 1 in the middle, and 1 all the way at the top there. And basically you kind of have to work around this sliding one to get the worm gear cradle out, because it comes out, I've learned, with the gears on this other shaft. Alas, I still couldn't get the darn thing out. I tried and tried, pried, wiggled, finagled, all of the above, and could not get it out. For all the videos I watched, it just slipped right out for everybody, no issues. So I came over here, I whipped out some exploded diagrams, I whipped out some mechanical drawings, and lo and behold, look what I found. This is terribly difficult to understand, but this is the selector lever. Right here is the worm gear cradle. That's our bevel gear. That little bit there on top is the nut. So I'm looking right in this area. Those are the 3 gears on that shaft that I was just showing you. So I'm looking right in here. I'm trying to figure out like what could be holding it. And sure enough, right here, it looks like it's kind of pointing to nothing. So I go look at 251 and 350. 251 is a socket cap screw, and 350 is a lock screw. So somewhere on the left-hand side of the head, there had to be some sort of socket cap-headed lock screw, presumably for the worm gear cradle. And kablamo, right there it is. I was thrilled to find this and realized that I actually gained something useful out of a mechanical drawing for once. Oh yeah, I forgot. You also gotta take out the engagement knob on the opposite side. Oops. Okay, now, I think, with a wiggle and a jiggle, and a bit of this, and a bit of that, there you go. That right there is your worm gear cradle. Now I can go and check out the quill skirts. And once I got the worm gear cradle out, I realized it was not the quill skirts keeping the spindle from going up. It was this broken piece of cast iron that came off the worm gear cradle. Yeah! So somehow this broke, this got lodged atop the spindle, or atop the quill, and was keeping it from going all the way back up. Isn't that wild? I don't think this happened while we had the machine, because it looks really, really chewed up. But I'm guessing somebody tried to engage the auto downfeed while the machine was running, which you're not supposed to do. And the force of the worm gear spinning kicked this back super hard, I'm guessing, and then thus broke the tab off. And this, my friends, is what we are going to try and weld together today. Now you guys are caught back up to speed with where I'm at currently. My next step is to take the worm gear cradle assembly apart because I'm going to take this to work and sandblast it before I start welding it. To make sure that the parts are nice and clean, there's no dirt, no grease, no oils on it. I think that's going to give us the best chance of success. Alright, we got the worm gear cradle assembly completely taken apart. I was really happy to find this really nice brass bushing, and it fits in the cradle so tightly. It's just like the most perfect fit ever. I was just so happy about that. Very nice brass gear. And actually, considering the fact that I was hypothesizing about it getting slammed into gear, I don't see any evidence of that. The gear does not look damaged as I would expect if somebody did slam it in. So that's kind of weird. I will be taking the cast iron cradle to work this week, sandblasting it, getting it all cleaned up nice, and I will see you guys next weekend.